Hi everyone, it's Claire from Piece Together, and today I'm chatting about some of the things that have happened in the news. So this week, I, like a lot of other people, have found out that I'm going to have to wait until I'm 68 to get my state retirement pension, because I am in that group of people who were born after 1970. And as such, I've now got to wait until I'm 68, whereas up until 3 or 4 days ago, I thought that I would be getting it at 67. Now, it is a bit of a bummer, we do get that. Having to work longer before you get your pension is something that nobody really wants to do. How do I feel about it? Well, in the scheme of things, I do understand why it's happened. We are an ageing population and we need people to be paying in longer to be able to afford to pull out the money out into state pensions, if there is to be a state pension there when we get there. But more than that, it's not something that I've ever really relied on. Now, when I have been working, I've always made sure that I pay into a pension. So when I was an employee, I paid into a pension, and since I've become self-employed, I still pay into a pension. So even if I don't get a state retirement pension, I will have some pension income in retirement. Now, auto-enrolment has meant that employees are all now going to get a pension as part of work. And although you can opt out, people are intrinsically lazy, and most people will not opt out. Which means that when they come to retirement, they should have some sort of pot of money which they can use in some way. So now might be a good time for you to actually look at what you might be getting in retirement. I do sometimes see people who will chat to me and say, oh, I'm not going to have any money to retire on. But unless you're actually due to be retiring this week or this year, then that doesn't need to be the case, because it's never too late to start looking at your pension options. And in particular, people who are 40 plus, who have worked for a previous employer, more than one employer, can really benefit from having someone sit down free of charge like me and go through their pensions and chat to them about what they've got and whether or not these options are going to suit them moving forward. The other thing that has been in the news this week was a landmark case where a guy who had been married to a same-sex partner had finally been given the rights to receive a widow's pension. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't realise about pensions, certainly a lot about the old pension schemes, is that they do have a income paid to you on retirement. They also often have an income that can be paid to your widow or widower on retirement. And now that doesn't really matter whether you are married to somebody of the same sex or opposite sex, they should still get those same rights. But what happens if you are not married, or you are no longer married, you are divorced, or you're already widowed? So that very much does depend on the type of pension scheme you paid into. And some of the pension schemes are great and they're flexible, and you can fill a nomination form out and you can leave your pension pot to whomever you want to. You can leave it to a niece or a nephew if you don't have children, you can leave it to children, you can leave it to your next door neighbour if you want to. Some of the older pensions, however, do not have any facility for anything other than a widow's pension. So if you are single, or you are divorced or widowed, or you do not have a spouse of either gender to pass your pension pot to, you need to be chatting with us about what options you have, because it could well be that moving it over to a new flexible pension scheme where you have the option of who you leave it to means that your money does not die with you. Yeah, I will just say that again. Some of the old pension schemes that you have paid into for years and years, if you are not married, when you die, the pension stops. Nobody gets any of the money that you've paid into. Okay, if you don't want that to be what happens to your money, or you're not sure if that will apply to your pension pot or not, it's time to book a free pension review. Now, typically, the initial conversation on the phone is going to take 20 minutes, half an hour maybe, or you can have a face-to-face appointment if you're local to me and you want to have a coffee and a chat. We can book an appointment in and go through what you've got. Now, sometimes it is a good thing to keep the pensions you've got, but sometimes there is more flexibility if you move it to a newer scheme. And that's one thing that we will look at for you to make sure that we work out if it is the best thing for you or not. So, pensions, that is the big thing. Don't be in the situation where you get to retirement and you don't know how much income you've got. If you know what you've got now and you know what you want to aim for, you can start to put a plan in place to get there. And in all the financial planning that we do and all the business coaching and financial coaching that we do, the key thing is knowing your numbers, knowing where you are financially, so that actually we can put a plan in place. Because even putting a little bit of money away each month, if you're doing it over years and years till retirement, can have quite a massive impact. Seeing a financial advisor is the best way to go. Every time. Statistics have shown that people who work with financial advisors have on average an extra 13 to 16% worth of income at retirement because of the advice that they've taken, and that's even allowing for any fees or charges that you would need to pay to get any advice. So speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about. I'm obviously always happy to chat to you and see what options we have. Not all retirement options for people will involve pensions. People often look at buy-to-let property as part of their retirement portfolio. Some people look at saving into ISAs, and a lot of this depends on what your income is now, and also what your income is likely to be in retirement, because these things are treated differently in terms of how the income is taxed. And what we need to do is create a solution for you that is individual to you and balanced so that you don't pay any more tax than legally you have to. It's not about evasion or avoidance, it's about making sure that you use the allowances that have been given there for you to encourage you to save for now and for the future. So get in touch, book your appointment, it's free of charge, and we'll have a chat about what options you've got in retirement. And in the meantime, if you've got any questions, please pop over to the Piece Together page on Facebook, and you can put the comments on the page and I'll answer it as soon as I get time. Have a brilliant weekend, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.